The answers are all right here if you have the time to read them. Why is everyone losing their minds? Where do all these new ideologies come from? Why don't men and women get along anymore? Why has everyone lost track of right and wrong? This is a map of consciousness. It's a map of your mind. It explains why people see things differently. Don't worry, I'll make it simple. Consciousness grows in predictable levels. Many researchers have studied this. And the biggest reason everything is so weird right now is that we built a world at a high level of thinking, and we are no longer growing to meet it. What are levels of thinking? These are levels of psychological development. I use them to explain why people are the way they are. When you are born, you start at the lowest, simplest level. Every newborn baby cares about nothing but its own needs and feelings. As you grow and learn, you start putting things together. Level 2 is when you find out that other people have their own needs and feelings and you can connect with them. Level 3 is when you realize that you live in a big world full of people who are connected to each other and you can manipulate those connections for your own goals, and it just gets more and more complex. Everyone goes through the levels at a different speed and everyone stops at a different place. The way that each person grows through the levels depends on a bunch of different factors, just like how a plant needs sunlight and air and water and soil. It's not just one thing. In places that have all the right ingredients, the average level is about 4 or 5, with about 15% at level 6, but the average in the world is level 3 to level 4, and when you find out what that means, it can be kind of shocking. Understanding is easier when you have help. That's why this introduction to levels is brought to you by Integral Life, the sponsor of this video. Integral Life promotes integral awareness. They offer a high-level perspective on everything from health to meditation to success. Integral Life will introduce you to the integral approach, the stages of development, and countless applications of the integral framework. I studied integral theory myself. It's a big part of why I'm good at explaining things. Studying integral theory can actually make you move through the levels quicker, and Integral Life can introduce you to all the best ways to do that. Integral Life offers courses, a community, and lots of tasty visuals. I know you guys like those. Integral Life invites you to sign up for a free 24-day email course to build your integral mind. You'll get introduced to the philosophy by a team of teachers connected to Ken Wilber, the creator of the integral framework. Sign up here or click the link in the comments. It'll help everything fall into place. This is my new levels chart. It's much easier to read than the old one. It has 9 rows for the 9 levels that we know about so far, and the columns here tell you what the levels are like. Over here, it shows different ways to divide the levels up. You can divide them any way you want. You can do 100, you can do 2, you can go high and low. And I'll go into these in later videos. There are more than this. This is just to give you a sense of it. I used really simple language, no more of this stuff. I copied that from somewhere. Nobody knows what it means. This is what the level does, and this is what it wants. Levels 4 and 5 are the most popular ones in our culture. You should recognize them. People at level 4, the way that they think about life is they conform and they follow rules in order to belong to a way of life and fit in. And when that way of life gets suffocating, when it's too constricting, then they start to try to improve, develop, advance, become something greater, accumulate something for themselves so they can achieve success and live a certain lifestyle, their own lifestyle that they want. You should recognize these 2 levels being really popular in the West. If you go to like a dense city area, people will still be mostly at levels 4 and 5, but there's going to be a higher percentage at 3 and 6. When I explain what they are, you'll probably recognize those 2. I'm eventually going to make a packet that's going to have like 20 of these charts. There's going to be a ton of them, but you can buy this one now at the link, and I'm going to post it for free for all of my YouTube and Patreon members in about a week. Most of the videos I make are about dating and relationships, and those are a lot easier if you understand how people think, which is my specialty. Levels are a part of this map. I created this graphic, but it's just my interpretation of the all-quadrant, all-level map, or integral theory created by Ken Wilber. They call it a map of everything, and it kind of is. It's hard to explain, but if you can perceive anything, if you can know about something, you can put it on this map. So let's say you have a dream about Saturn, then you would talk about the upper left quadrant because that's inside of your individual mind. But if you saw Saturn through a telescope, that would be the upper right quadrant because that's the thing you see in the world. So the map breaks up your mind into all the different ways it looks at things. So it's a map of everything because it's a map of everything you can know about. And if you can't know about it, how is it a thing? So the map is really complicated, but for right now, forget about everything but levels. This is the most fun part anyway. Colorful. Understanding levels is important because people think that everyone thinks the same way that they think, and that's not true and it causes problems. I draw this a lot. Here's one that everybody knows about. Here's a girl having strong feelings, so her subconscious is putting her emotions into her conscious mind, and she's looking at this guy like, if I'm feeling this, he must know that I'm feeling it. But there isn't any way to do that because she hasn't told him. Here's a girl with family trauma looking at a guy who's normal and saying that having no red flags is a red flag because she thinks everyone has trauma and he's hiding it. Here's one with a girl who has something drilled into her head, like something like man bad. Like all the girls turn on TikTok and it goes man bad, man bad, man bad, and it becomes their reality. So she has a belief that's been drilled into her head, and this guy says 4 things. And one of them looks kind of like the one that's already in her head, so she sees half of it and changes the color slightly and says, oh, I knew it. All men are the same. Why do you all always the thing I already believed, even though he didn't say that? So this is just how the mind works at a lower level. This one up here is a girl having a higher level thought for the first time. Dad is telling her to be careful of men because he knows how men are because he used to be one. And so for the first time, she is thinking about her dad's thinking about these guys thinking. She has a thought about her father's thought about the thoughts of men. So she's moving up to a high level for the first time. So basically, the lower your level of thinking, the less you can see other ways of thinking. Let me show you what I mean. If you are a human, you probably think that dog unpleasantness is a bad thing. You probably would not want to touch this. You probably don't like it that it's on the sidewalk. This is bad for you. There's nothing good about it. But if you are a fly, then you just hit the jackpot. They use this as food and they lay eggs in it and they probably feel great about this situation. So this is not too hard to understand. I bet that nobody watching this video is struggling with this concept that this would be good for a fly who would enjoy it and bad for a human who wouldn't. But most people struggle every day to understand that other people can see the same thing differently. A really good example of this is cheating and the whole my past doesn't matter thing. If a girl ever says my past doesn't matter to you, that's coming from a low level of thinking. Because you can't tell me what matters to me any more than you could tell a fly like, hey, that's disgusting, that's bad for you. The fly has a different agenda. When a man and a woman are together, when they're pair bonded in a relationship, the man is going to be much more upset if there is physical cheating, because this could happen. He's spending all of his time and money on her, but he doesn't get the benefit, and not only that, somebody else does. But women are a lot more forgiving of just physical cheating. In fact, sometimes if you have a lot of girls, they like you even more. What women hate is when the guy she's with is giving out his investment to other women, because that means she gets less of it. Investment is things like money and time and support and emotional bonding and so on. And people fight about this every day all over the world. The men say physical cheating is worse and the women say emotional cheating is worse. And you're just trying to tell a fly this is bad for you. It doesn't make any sense. It's different from you. It's not going to feel how you want it to. And again, I bet that nobody watching this video struggled with the fly has different needs from the human. But if nobody struggled with the woman has different needs from the man, I wouldn't have a career. It's going great, by the way. Thank you. And the higher your level of thinking, the more you understand that people perceive differently. But even more than that, studying psychological development itself can show you how these misunderstandings happen and how to solve them. That's why I'm so good at what I do. I'm out here saving marriages. Check this out. So, people at lower levels have trouble communicating in general, but also people at different levels have trouble communicating with each other. It's like if you've ever talked to a Bitcoin guy, he probably will talk to you like you know everything that he knows about Bitcoin, even though if you did, you wouldn't have to ask. That's like this: I know it, so everyone must know it. That's what it's like for different levels to try to communicate. And the higher you go, the less you assume that everyone knows what you know. On top of that, studying the levels can help you spot when this is happening and fix misunderstandings. I drew this little comic to illustrate. This is the guy from an old meme called Scumbag Steve. I don't know if Gen Z has Scumbag Steves, but when I was like 17, we all knew this guy. This is the guy who always causes problems and blames it on everyone else, so I illustrated how that works. Steve goes into someone else's house and starts smoking. The owner doesn't like it. He says, "Don't smoke in here." Scumbag Steve says, "It's cool, man. Don't worry about it." And then the owner says, "No, it's not cool. Put it out." And then Steve gets upset. "Chill, bro. It's just a cigarette." So in the mind of the owner, the two guys have two different ideas. You want to smoke, but I don't want you to. So when Steve does it anyway, it looks like he's saying, what I want is more important than what you want. So Steve is a bully. But Steve is at a lower level of consciousness, the no one tells me what to do level. So Steve does not know that the two guys have two different ideas. When Steve says it's cool, what he means is like, we're not at school, we're not at work, my parents aren't here, we're not going to get in trouble. This is an okay place to smoke. That's his concept of where it's okay to smoke, and the idea of somebody else having a different concept has never occurred to him. So when the owner says don't do that, Steve also feels attacked because this is an okay place to smoke, but you're giving me crap anyway, so you're the bully. When I was learning about this in school, they gave me the example of a father who gives money to his two sons, one of them is 10 and one of them is 5, to buy presents for their mother. And the 10-year-old buys her flowers and soaps, mom stuff, but the 5-year-old buys her a toy car because toy cars are cool. The idea that moms would like mom stuff rather than what is cool has never occurred to the 5-year-old, nor has it ever occurred to Steve. So some people just never grow out of these egotistical levels of thinking, and even if they do, they can slip back into this feeling that things just are a certain way, and so of course you know. That example is the difference between level 3 and level 4, which is where most people on Earth are on their best day. That explains a few things, doesn't it? That's why people at level 4 go crazy for conformity and following rules. They're showing off. They're saying, look at my ability to agree to and submit to the rules so that we're all doing the same thing and we're not in this constant chaos of nobody knowing what anyone wants. Maybe you understand this drawing a little better now. So think of how big of a difference that is in thinking, and then imagine it happening again and again and again. That's what I'm trying to accomplish here. It's ambitious. I'm going to make a long video explaining each level in detail, but this is just an introduction. It'll be quick. I'll make new illustrations too. Charts take time, okay? So level 1 I used to call survive. I'm now calling it desire, because that's what it feels like from the inside. We all feel this all day, every day. It's when you want something. I want a cookie. That girl is pretty. I'm looking for a man in finance, 6'5", blue eyes. Or when you want to get away from something. If you're stuck at this level as an adult, it's bad. You're basically homeless. Even Amazon tribes connect with each other. So if you were stuck at this level, you would basically just try to get what you want all the time without responding to the wants of others. Level 2 is when you realize, oh, other people also have desire. They want things too. This leads to appease consciousness. You try to give others what they want so they'll give something back. It's common for groups at this level to try to appease gods or spirits. They feel their own desire and they say, oh, the volcano is angry. Why would I be angry? Not enough virgins. Let's give it one, see if it calms down. They're trying to connect with nature by appeasing it. Groups at this level are small and they only interact with people they know because why would I talk to someone if we're not doing things for each other? At level 3, you realize that everyone around you is appeasing each other and trading favors, and you go, uh-oh, I could fall behind if I don't figure out how to control this. How can I direct all of this appeasing towards me and put me on top? In the mafia movie Goodfellas, they introduce each other by saying, this is Henry, he's a friend of mine, which means he works under me. He's a friend of ours means he's on our level. That is them communicating how these connections are controlled. People stuck at this level commit crime, they litter, they don't put the shopping cart back. That's what makes bad neighborhoods bad. No one follows the rules because life is about me, me, me. And nobody ever thinks about what someone else thinks. They don't do thinking about thinking. That's why people don't put the shopping cart back, because there is no such thing as other people don't want to be in a dirty parking lot. That just doesn't exist. So it's cool for me to not put it back and then do extra work for no reason. That's why they get mad when you try to make them follow the rules. When people get tired of that, they pick a leader and they write things down. This is the way things are going to be. Not just my way because I have power. This is the way things are. We wrote it down. This is when you start understanding, oh, wait a minute, what I want could hurt others just like they hurt me, and we could fix that if we had rules. If this works, they start seeing their way as the one true way. So this way is good, and this way is just bad. We can't have different ways, we just fixed that problem. At level 4, your social group grows again, so you can be in the same group as people that you don't know. This results in large nations and cities and agriculture. You could never do that at a lower level. If you go back down to winner take all, nothing gets done. The move from 3 to 4 is also important, just like the move from 6 to 7. And the whole point of this video is that when level 6 is in power, it prevents people from moving from 3 to 4. We'll come back to that. Level 4 is very rigid. They resist new ideas, like when Galileo said the Earth is not at the center, the church went, oh, that's a different way. You can't have that because we just fixed that problem. Level 5 shows up when people have a stable way of life and they start wanting to improve and advance, which you do with achieving. Today, people at level 5 want cars and houses and money and fame. You know the drill. So at level 3, the world just is the way you see it. And at level 4, you agree on the right way. And at level 5, you go, there's no right way. They're all made up. So not only can you improve it, but also you don't have to fight with people from other ways. That's where you become a citizen of the world. You have whole world consciousness. It starts at level 5. So now you can do whatever you want in life. As long as you follow the rules, it's all up to you. You make your own way, and then you succeed or fail based on your achievements. So at level 5, people come up with their own way to achieve success. And at level 6, people start thinking, well, what is success? What am I getting out of life? What am I giving up for it? Who am I? Level 6 is where I might lose some of you. It gets very detached from what people usually do. This is a drawing for the next video, it's not done. If someone is limited to levels 3, 4, and 5, when you tell them about 6, sometimes they say, well, wait a minute, how is that higher? These people are not chasing power, they don't fit in, they're not achievers. How is this better? And that's why the levels can't communicate. Better means something different to them. It usually starts when make your own way is no longer satisfying. Remember, all of this is based on desire and how you satisfy it. All the levels are just including more and more. So it's what do I want? What do you want? What do they want? What do we want as a group? And then what do I want as a part of the group? Which part of everything do I want to be? And at level 6, you go, well, there is no one part that's going to satisfy me. There's no right way for me because I'm different here and there and yesterday and today. I like the beach, I like the snow, there's infinity ways. How do I include them all? That might feel like you don't have your feet on the ground anymore. Like, I don't know what's behind any of these doors. I don't know which one to open. I don't know which way to go. And that leads to self discovery. You try to understand all the parts of who you are and include them in your life. And that can look very different for everyone. And that's why people don't know right and wrong anymore. Every way has to be right, or you're not including, and we're really mad about it. Some people even go out of their way to be difficult to include. So the morals are, I want to be who I want to be and not who you tell me. So we have to include everything everywhere all the time. And this is what you get when you do that. So a lot of these new ideas are coming from, believe it or not, a high level of awareness, particularly this one, but they're doing so much damage because people at lower levels don't understand them, just like Steve. So the level 6 idea of we need to include and validate everyone is being abused by a lot of people at levels 2, 3, and 4 who do not understand inclusion at all. When you say include everyone, what levels 2 and 3 here is we can do whatever we want now, there's no rules anymore. And what level 4 here is you better be inclusive or else. And then level 6 defends them even when they're doing it wrong. And that's because level 6 hates the idea of levels. They want to believe that everyone is equal. That's the big difference between 6 and 7. I have an AI tool called Level Check that asks you questions and compares your answers to the literature on development. Look at the results we got. It's a smooth bell curve with a big dip at level 6. That's exactly what you'd expect. They don't want to take the test because the idea of levels offends them. They want everyone to be on the same level. That's why when you say people have different abilities, they say, no, we need to give them more help. And that is dysfunctional because this doesn't help people grow. It makes them feel like they don't need to. I did it myself. At the beginning of this video, I said that we built this world at a high level of thinking and we're no longer growing to meet it. And that's because the people at level 6 are usually smarter than average and they have more money and power, which means they're insulated from the consequences of their actions. They want you to deal with Steve, but they don't have to. So they want total inclusion, but they're not including anyone who doesn't want total inclusion. That's like putting the mosque next to the gay bar and saying, now you two get along. That's going to cause some damage. They don't want to get along. They have different agendas. Men and women have different agendas. You and the fly have different agendas. Every individual in the world has different agendas, and those agendas change over time. That's what these levels of awareness are about. People do not want what you want them to want. That's what the table is about. When these girls say, I am the table, what it means is, I just am the table. I just do deserve what I want. And there's no recognition of what he wants. These are girl Steves. They're Stephanies. If you make people include what they don't want, it's going to cause problems. Steve does not need inclusion. He needs to figure out that other people don't think it's cool. And if he never does, then he can't come in the house. Imagine this is you, and someone said, okay, so Steve wants to smoke, but you don't want him to. What can we do to compromise? Why do you not like smoke? Do your parents smoke? You know, you're lucky to have a house. Maybe you should make Steve feel more welcome. Does that make you feel more inclusive or less? And do you understand how that would prevent Steve from ever growing up? Well, that's what all this garbage is about. They're telling you where you belong, because it's not up to you. She decided where you belong, and in some places, it's a crime to disagree. So if you are not allowed to say what doesn't belong in your life, not only is that terribly unfair to you, but then Steve never learns. And that's why people are the way they are. So even though this is a relatively high level of thinking, it's still trying to correct everyone to think the way that it does, and life just doesn't work that way. If you are at level 3, you would say, I'm going to do what I want, and everyone needs to deal with it. If you are at level 4 and you were, let's say, a Christian, you would say, everyone should be a Christian. It is the one true way, and they should follow it like me. At level 5, you would say, everyone has to figure out their own way of being like me. And at level 6, they say, everyone needs to embrace every way of being like me. But at level 7, you would say, everyone needs to be in a place that works for them and where they work for everyone around them. There's no more me. I'm not telling anyone that they have to think like me. I would love it if people would do the work to have a thought about a thought about a thought, but if they don't, there's still a place for them somewhere, just hopefully not in Congress. I would hate for the virgin in a volcano guy to write the laws I live by. For example, this is the Maasai people. I don't think they spend that much time online, but that's okay. I don't need them to hear about integral theory. They're doing fine on their own. I have no notes for the Maasai. But also, I don't want them to move to my neighborhood and tell me, this is your life now. That's what I'm trying to communicate with words like alignment and harmony. Things have to work together the way they want to and not the way you want them to. The best example I can think of right now is Dubai. People go there from all over the world to live and work, but nobody's fighting over who owns the country. That's what the word integrate means. It means if you want something in Dubai and they want to let you, you can go there and do what you want and be who you want and be included as long as you follow the rules. And this is the part that certain people in the West don't want to do anymore. They want this one and not this one. And when you do that, everything falls back down to here. And then nobody thinks about what other people think, and you end up with a generation of deservers. So I hope that makes it clear how levels can help with interpersonal dynamics, raising children, religion, spirituality, politics, government, society, technology. And again, my channel took off really, really fast. This is less than 2 years, and it's because I know how to explain things because I understand them. And if more people understand them, then we can fix a lot of problems. Next time, I will go through the levels slowly, one by one, and I'll show you how they grow from one to the next.